Final Fantasy Mystic Quest is the unloved orphan of RPGs. Its purpose was to break through the US market and introduce Americans to RPGs. They looked at successful games like Zelda and realized how much of an emphasis on action we place on our games. So, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest was born. A game infused with both Zelda qualities and Final Fantasy qualities. It's a turn-based battle system, but when you're not in battle you can use grappling hooks, whack down trees with your axe, throw bombs at cracked walls, and jump around. Unfortunately, the game has an identity crisis and doesn't really perform either of those roles very well. Both the action and the RPG elements end up being totally underwhelming. With the RPG side, it plays out like a typical turn-based battle system. There are large differences with how they execute it. For one, you can see your enemies in the battlefield, which you would think would be convenient. The first thing I think of when I hear this is, yes, I can finally dodge enemies. But no, you really can't. 80% of this game you will be in a battle. The enemies are visible but stationary and oftentimes are placed strategically on every corner you must go, near every chest you must get to, and just about everywhere you turn. You'll fight so many battles that the only benefit from this setup is the certainty that in 3 more steps, you'll encounter another battle. You'll only have control of a maximum of 2 characters at a time. The partner that tags along with you will never get experience, level up, and will never be able to switch out equipment. They do have a level, and it's usually much higher. The idea is that by the time they leave your team, you should be around the same level as them. And by default, they're set to automatic in battle. And boy is the AI stupid in this game. If your enemy has 1 hit left, and it's your teammate's turn, instead of being like, oh, I'll just attack the enemy and end the battle in 2 seconds, he'll go, oh, I must heal my teammate because he has poison. There's not a lot of freedom in the world. You're stuck on a direct path from place to place. To try and spice in the game up, they have battlegrounds where if you press A on them, you enter a battle. Each battleground has 10 battles, and once you win all 10, you're usually rewarded with spells, items, extra experience, GP, or sometimes nothing. They're usually very tedious but vital to getting a good spell or item. For instance, you can get Exit, and that is hands down the world's best spell in this game. The game is exceptionally easy. It took about 8 hours to complete. In RPG standards, that's very short. You're pretty sustainable throughout the game and you never really need to sleep at an inn. Whenever you open up a chest full of potions, you can leave the place, go back in, and the chest has potions again. This trick can actually give you an unlimited supply of potions in the first 3 minutes of the game. If you die in a battle, you can just restart from the beginning. Or if the battle isn't a boss and you die, you can just start the battle over, run or escape from the battle, heal your teammates, and then you can just enter the battle again. You can act pretty irresponsible with your health and you never face any consequences for it. Because the game forces you to enter a set amount of battles before the boss, you'll almost always be on the appropriate level. Even the last boss has a cheap trick to kill it in a few hits. They must think that the US can't handle a challenge. I've been pretty harsh on the game so far, but I really want to discuss the things I did like about the game. I love the atmosphere of each part of the countryside. They sort of parallel the concept of different elements. The first area being earth, the second area being an icy area, aka water, the third being sort of a fire volcano area, and the fourth being a windy area. I think each area plays out in the way it should, and it feels atmospherically different. I also really like the music in the game. The battle music is pretty fun, and you might bang your head to the music for the first couple of battles. Some music is a little hit and miss, like this one. This one is so sad, and it makes me want to write deep, dark poetry. And it's placed randomly in a temple, where the only point is just to pick up a chest or 2. I love how the enemies in battles visibly show their depleted health. The more you damage the enemy, the more damage their monster art appears. I think it's a cool concept, and I wish it was part of more RPGs. Some of them are pretty funny too. For instance, the porcupine missing a strip of quills. The game is very short, like I said. I think that's actually beneficial. Had it been any longer, it would be more obviously tedious. Due to its shortness, getting an upgrade to a weapon, finishing a dungeon, getting a new teammate all happens pretty rapidly throughout the game, and this causes a quicker reward system. Your environment changes quite a bit too, from a mountaintop to a volcano to an underground dungeon to a tower pretty quickly, so visually it's pretty refreshing. I think the pacing is what the game really got right. Looking at this game objectively, it's too easy, simple, straightforward. It's really just a dumbed down Final Fantasy, but I think the various environments, the music, and the pacing is great for the length of the game. Living in a biased memory lane where nostalgia runs rampant, it brings back good memories of being 7 again. I know it's not a great game, but there are some redeeming qualities, but most importantly, it's a piece of my childhood, and I'll always love it for that.